It's the middle of the night, 1784, Bavaria. Soldiers break down a door that was never supposed to be found. Inside, they find something that will terrify an entire kingdom: letters, symbols, names of powerful men, all connected to a secret order nobody was supposed to know existed. Within hours, this order is banned. Its founder disappears into the night, never to return to his home country again. The world was told this was the end. The secret was destroyed, buried, finished. But 250 years later, that same symbol is flashing on stage in music videos. That same name is being whispered by world leaders, celebrities, and internet creators, some in fear, some for fame. So what actually happened in that room in 1784? And how did something meant to be erased forever become one of the most powerful myths of the modern world? To understand that, we have to go back 8 years earlier, to the very beginning, where 5 men in a locked room started something they could never fully control. Every secret society leaves behind 2 versions of itself. The one that actually happened, and the one that refuses to stay buried. What you just saw, the raid, the fear, the disappearance into exile, that was only the ending. But endings rarely tell you the truth about how something started, or why it refused to die. The real Illuminati lived for exactly 11 years before that door was broken down. 11 years is nothing, and yet what began in that short window somehow outlived kings, outlived revolutions, outlived world wars, and is right now more alive in the public imagination than it has ever been. Back before the raid, back before the fear, back to the very first night this secret was ever spoken aloud. Ingolstadt, Bavaria, May 1st, 1776. 8 years before that door gets kicked in, 5 men gather behind a locked one, speaking in whispers even though the walls are thick enough to hide them. Their leader is a 28-year-old law professor named Adam Weishaupt, a man who has watched the church tighten its grip on every book, every classroom, every free thought in Bavaria, and has decided he will not simply watch anymore. He gives his new order a name that sounds almost like a warning: the Illuminati, the Enlightened Ones. He builds it like a labyrinth, ranks within ranks, code names instead of real names, members recruited without ever knowing who stands above them in the shadows. Nobody in that room that night could have known this quiet whisper would still be echoing 2.5 centuries later. Nobody in that room that night could have known this quiet whisper would still be echoing 2.5 centuries later. Within a few years, that quiet whisper becomes something far bigger. Hundreds of members now, hidden inside Bavaria and beyond, wealthy aristocrats, respected writers, even men inside the government itself, all bound by secrecy, all communicating through coded letters that could mean life or death if intercepted. For a while, it works. The network moves unseen, exactly as it was designed to. But there is a flaw buried inside every secret this large. It only survives as long as every single person keeps their silence. And silence, as we already know, does not last, because we've already seen how this chapter ends. The rumors reach the ruler of Bavaria. The edict gets signed. The doors get broken down. What we haven't seen yet is what happens after the smoke clears, when everyone assumes the story is finally over. In 1797, a French priest publishes a book making a chilling claim that the Illuminati never actually died that night, that its remnants secretly slipped inside Freemasonry, and from the shadows, quietly orchestrated the French Revolution itself. There is no real evidence for this. None. But it arrives at exactly the right moment. A Europe already shaking with fear, watching monarchies fall one after another, desperate for someone, anyone, to blame. A hidden hand pulling the strings is a far easier story to believe than chaos with no author at all. And once that story is told, it becomes almost impossible to unsay. The ghost that was supposedly buried in 1784 has just been dug back up, and it won't be reburied again. The whisper doesn't stay in Europe. It crosses an ocean. In the newly formed United States, respected men, including some of the very founders of the nation, begin quietly worrying aloud whether this hidden order has already slipped into American institutions. The panic fades for a while. But notice the pattern forming here. It never fully disappears. It goes quiet, waiting, exactly like it did after the original raid. for the next moment of fear to wake it up again. And that moment keeps arriving, decade after decade, reshaped each time to fit whatever the world is most afraid of. Wars, economic collapse, Cold War paranoia. Each era hands the myth a new mask to wear. By the 1970s, some writers openly admit they fabricated Illuminati connections purely as a joke, and watched in disbelief as people believed it completely. The myth no longer needs truth to survive. It only needs uncertainty, and uncertainty is something the world has never once run out of. Then the internet arrives, and the whisper becomes a scream heard everywhere at once. A single symbol, an eye inside a triangle, existing for centuries in religious and national art with no connection to any secret order, suddenly gets pulled loose from its original meaning and reattached to something far more sinister. Hidden banks, hidden governments, hidden hands behind world events. Forums and videos spread the symbol faster than anyone can trace its origin. And that's when something truly strange begins, something almost nobody saw coming. The myth stops being something people only fear in the dark.
On set, please.
It starts
Camera
becoming
is rolling.
something people perform in the light,
Action.
on camera, on purpose. Musicians begin flashing triangle hand signs and glowing eye symbols in music videos, not because any of them believe in a hidden order controlling the world, but because mystery has become currency and controversy has become free advertising. Brands quietly borrow the same imagery for the exact same reason. Entire channels are built dissecting hidden Illuminati messages in films and album covers. Some creators fully aware there's nothing really there, because audiences cannot look away regardless. Remember that door, kicked down in the dark, back in 1784? Somehow, that secret has been resurrected, not by hidden elites in some shadowy chamber, but by algorithms, engagement numbers, and human curiosity itself. The myth didn't survive despite the modern world. It survived because the modern world needed it to. Pull back every layer of fear, every rumor, every symbol stripped from its original meaning, and here is what remains. A real secret order did exist, for exactly 11 years inside Bavaria, built on ideas of reason and enlightenment, crushed swiftly the moment a monarchy grew too frightened to let it continue. Everything that came after that door was broken down, the bloodlines, the celebrity initiations, the hidden world government, is myth built on top of myth, kept alive first by political fear, then by writers chasing a good story, and now by an internet that simply cannot resist a secret. The real mystery was never a hidden group secretly running the world. The real mystery is how easily a single idea, once whispered into existence, the Illuminati, died in 1785. And yet, somehow it has never actually left us. It slipped through monarchies, through revolutions, through world wars, and now it lives quietly inside phone screens and comment sections, reborn a little differently by every generation that stumbles onto it. Maybe that's the real truth hiding underneath this entire story. We don't just fear hidden power. Some part of us needs it to exist, because a world secretly controlled by someone, anyone, feels somehow less frightening than a world controlled by no one at all. If this pulled you in and kept you here until the very end, subscribe, because there are more buried secrets waiting to be uncovered.